So where can we check out some of your artwork?
Well, right now I really haven't posted any of it, but there is. So if you Google my name, Ryan Weems Johnson, RyanWeems Johnson, JOHNSON. If you Google that, you'll see some of my artwork, like the life behind bars little thing that I did for life without parole, death by incarceration. You know, so you know, if you Google my name, there's a little tidbit of that kind of stuff on there. But I'm gonna make sure I get some stuff up on my Facebook and my Instagram real soon.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up in the place. I was born and when I watched me elevate.
Welcome back to the channel, AML Films. We out there.
I'd like to introduce myself. My name's Ryan Jeffrey Weems Johnson. You know, that's my whole government. They call me Knockout out here. I've been out here in Kensington for a few years, you know, doing the whole Kensington thing. You know, I've been through every phase of this shit. I mean, you know, from sleeping on the ground, you know, dirty as shit, you know, stinking, to being clean and coming back and seeing my peoples, and to relapse, and you name it, man. And you know, that's what I've been through, you know. And Kensington can be a rough stop, you know. Kensington can be a rough stop, you know, and it sure has been tough on me over the years, you know. But it's a lot of love here, and I've met some of the best people I've ever met in my life here in the street, you know. And it's a lot of love here amongst all the other things that are going on.
How old are you, bro?
I'm 41.
Okay, you look much younger than that. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Delaware County, man. I'm from a small town in Delaware County called Marcus Hook. I don't know, you know, most people haven't heard of it, but they are familiar with Chester. So I'm right outside of Chester. You know, growing up, things were family oriented. You know, I played a lot of sports growing up, and you know, my dad always was around. My mom was always around. I was fortunate to have parents growing up, you know, and my dad taught me a lot of things and always kept me busy fishing and hunting, and you know, like playing sports, play baseball, play football, wrestle, you know, and different things like that. You know, on the weekends, that's the things we do: tournaments, baseball games, football games, that kind of shit. You know. Yeah, man. You know, just spending time with family and being around family at the dinner table, and you know, memories of my great aunts and uncles. You know, those are the people who I grew up with. I kind of grew up with the generation before me, because my dad's sisters and brothers, they were actually in Alabama, and my great aunts and my great uncle were the ones who I grew up around. So, you know, I kind of grew up with a generation before me, you know, and I learned a lot of those different values from them, you know.
All right, let's get right into it, Ryan. You know what I mean? I gotta ask you some personal questions. Just keep it 100. So currently, man, what type of drugs are you addicted to, man?
Well, you know, for the most part, you know, for the most part, you know, I smoke rocks, you know, and it's something that I've been doing on and off for the last 20 years, you know. You know, like I said, I do a little rocks, little weed, you know, little rocks, little weed, you know what I mean?
All right.
Little drink.
Okay. So how were you introduced to crack cocaine?
Well, when I was younger, you know, when I was younger, I used to sell a little cocaine. You know, I started snorting a little bit, you know, and I actually burned a hole in my septum from snorting so much cocaine. You know, the use became more and more over time, and it got to the point where you know, my nose would just bleed every time I snorted, you know. So what ended up happening was, you know, one of my customers, you know, he come over one day and he said to me, "Hey Ryan, man, you want to snort some lines?" So that's what we used to do. We used to play Madden, gamble on Madden, you know, and drinks a few beers and snort some lines, you know, and that was just the average everyday thing, you know. And I told him what was the situation with my nose, and he was like, "Well, look, man," he's like, "Man, listen," he's like, "I was about to cook something up, smoking, man. Why don't you?" And I snapped on him, man, you know, because at that point in time of my life, smokers were frowned upon, you know, and still to this day, smokers are. My people's over here cutting up on that, you know, cutting up on that CBR, you know how we do out here, you know, 3200. Shout out to 3200, you know. But yeah, on some real shit, you know. And I tried it, you know. I'm not making no excuses. You know, it was my own decision, you know, on some real shit. It was my own decision. You know, I'm not going to put it on anybody else, you know. And that's right.
Yeah, that's how it goes down on the block.
I'm definitely not going to put it on anybody else. I'm a man and I can accept my responsibility. So it was a choice that I made, and you know, one of those things in life where it was an unfortunate thing that I made that choice, because shit, you know, them drugs took me a lot of places, you know what I mean? Like I said, I went from sleeping on the concrete to, you know, the worst you can imagine, you know, jail, all those things. Aside from death, that's the only thing that I really haven't experienced yet as far as where drugs can take you, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember the first time you took your first hit of crack?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a real big deal, the first hit, you know. It seemed to have gotten worse over time, you know. That first couple months, you know, I probably blew through $21,000. You know, I actually remember, you know, I was 20 years old. I had $21,000 in the bank, and I had 11 grand in a shoebox in my closet. And, you know, first couple months, I blew through that 21. And then I remember the last week of that run, I spent $11,000, you know. In 1 week, I bought 7 ounces of cocaine and 2 Tech-9s. I barricaded myself in the house, and I was fucking tweaking. Just at the window with these guns loaded. I'm smoking. I can't put the pipe down. I remember it vividly, you know. It was a bad thing, you know. And, you know, because I owed some people some money, I was very paranoid about what was going on, you know. And I just knew in my heart that these people were going to come kill me, you know. So that's why I was, you know, that's why I barricaded myself in the house, you know. And I even sent my son's mother home, you know, to her parents, because I told them, you know, I can't guarantee your daughter's safety right now because of the things I had done, you know. And they came and picked her up, but lo and behold, she stole her mom's car and came back, you know. And man, it was crazy. If you can imagine, you can look at me now, if you can imagine me being 130 pounds, you know, I was 130 pounds when I went to jail, like fucking, like a skeleton. You know, she was 96 pounds when I left, you know, and it was crazy because my son was conceived just, you know, maybe in the weeks before I went to jail, you know. And I come home to a new son, and you know, a new shot at life, but none of that even mattered, you know. I still end up fucking up again anyways, you know. Like, over the last 20 years, man, you know, I couldn't count how many times that I relapsed and ended up, you know, back in the struggle, you know.
Mm-hmm. So Ryan, how did your family react when they found out you was using drugs?
Man, you know, like, cocaine is a dirty word to some people, you know, and like I said, you know, smoking cocaine is highly frowned upon by a lot of people because they just see the average everyday addict, and they just think that everybody is running around begging for 5 cents or 50 cents or whatever, you know. They don't see crackheads like me, for instance, who had the ability to hustle and kind of you know, have a little more than others, you know, that are in that same situation.
Got you. So do you ever think that you will become addicted to drugs?
When I was a kid, all I had dreams and hopes on was playing professional sports, you know. I just knew that one day that I was going to be in the NFL, or that I was going to be a Major League Baseball player or some shit like that. You know, I never had one thought about ever being anything else. And if you would have told me that, you know, some years ago, I would have never believed you, and you know, I probably would have, you know, fought tooth and nail about what I would be in the future, you know. I mean, we all have decisions in life, you know, and I don't think that any temptation is greater than the other, you know. It's just about how you react to that temptation, and you know. So my struggle, I don't think that my struggle is any harder than anybody else's. It's just that, you know, I chose another route than other people.
So when you realized you were addicted, why didn't you stop taking them?
I mean, if it was only that easy, Malcolm, I would just push an easy button and this shit would be all over, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I couldn't explain it. You know, I still to this day can't explain why it's not that easy, you know, because my dad asked me a lot, you know, every time. He's like, you know, man, why don't you just quit? And it's just really not that easy, you know. A lot of people, the doctors and different people, they say that it's genetic, you know, and that it's just, we're different than, addicts are different than other people, and it's just something that's in us genetically. You know, I'd like to believe that that's more true than to be able to just say, oh, I quit, you know?
Right. So Ryan, what's a day in your life look like, bro? 24 hours.
Well, you know, it's grind and hustle, you know. It's not easy coming up with a couple $100 every day to get high, you know. Like, I spend you know, $200 or more every single day getting high, you know. And it's like, you know, you gotta do something to get that. So, you know, my average every day is, you know, I probably sell some drugs, you know what I'm saying? Probably, you know, I might get in a little something else, you know what I mean? I might, you know, it's a lot of different things that we do out here to get what we need, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, you name it, and I've probably done it, you feel me? But, you know, for the most part, I just, you know, I'll kick back and, you know, pitch some rocks or whatever like that, you know. You know, I don't regret anything that I've done, so I don't feel like I've done anything that's you know, really bad to support my habit, you know, aside from just, you know, what everybody else does. But I'll probably do it 10 times harder than any other addict, you know what I'm saying?
Understood. Ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ryan, what's the most difficult thing about being an addict?
Well, one thing that I struggle with is that I don't spend time with my family, you know what I mean? I don't spend time with my son because I don't necessarily want him around the shit that I get into when I'm getting high and shit, you know? So like, that's something that bothers me, you know. It's just not having that close relationship with my son, you know. I mean, I talk to him, but you know, I just don't want him physically around the places I am and doing the shit that I'm doing, you know.
That's what's up. I respect that, man. So out here in Kensington, how do you survive out here, man? How do you stay safe out here?
I mean, this motherfucker's a beast, man, and you know, if you ain't strong-willed, then you ain't gonna survive out this motherfucker. I'm talking about they dropping some of the fucking toughest, roughest motherfuckers. You know, some of the stone cold killers that I know that I came up around out here, they dead and gone, you know. They fucking shooting old ladies out here, man. They shooting smokers out here. They, you know, it's changed in the 12 years that I've been in Kensington. Things have changed a lot and they've gotten more violent, you know. So you got to use your fucking head out here, you know. You got to use your fucking head out here, and you really got to be serious about what you're doing, and you got to fucking have your head on swivel, you know. Because I seen some deadly 4 o'clock in the mornings up here and all that kind of shit, you know. So like, if shit ain't sweet, I can guarantee you that.
What are some horror stories that you have seen or heard about out here in Kensington? Some horror stories.
So one of the most horrific things that I've seen in Kensington in this 12 years that I've been up here is just the other day, man. I was walking down the street. I was headed to a friend's house, and you know, I seen 2 girls sitting on my friend's stoop, and I'm like, what's up, man? You know, they're just out there doing a normal thing, just smoking crack, chilling, talking and shit. And I noticed that there's a shopping cart next to the stairs. And when I take a glance in the shopping cart, the girl's son is sleeping in the shopping cart, you know, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and they're outside and shit, you know, and this kid is sleeping in the shopping cart. And you know, I was a little upset about it, and I kind of questioned what's going on with main man, and she's like, well, we don't have nowhere to stay tonight, you know. And you know, so when my friend answered the door, I pulled him to the side and I said to him, yo, you know, little homie sleeping in the shopping cart, and he was kind of boggled by it and shit, you know. He was a little agitated, and he went back in the crib, you know. So as I was sitting there, a fucking a trick pulled up, you know. A trick pulled up, and the mother of the child goes and hops in the fucking car with the trick and pulls off and leaves her son in a fucking shopping cart next to some girl who's smoking crack, you know. And at that point, I kind of like, you know, I just had to walk away, and you know, I felt for the child, and I was angry because, you know, my son just died January 26, 2020, you know, and for a woman to have a son, you know, and not even take care of him, and you know, I couldn't even have my son. I couldn't hold my son. I couldn't be with my son. You know, I couldn't raise my son. It really angered me, and I thought that was one of the most horrific things I ever seen, was for a female to leave her child on the fucking doorstep of somebody's house in a shopping cart, man. You know, and that really hurt me, man, you know.
Damn, that's deep, man. I'm so sorry about your son too, Ryan.
Nah, you know, death is a part of life, you know. Life is a cycle, and the ending of that cycle is death, you know.
So what are some things that trigger you into using drugs?
You know, I would say feelings. I would say emotions. You know, like it's an emotional thing for me. You know, sometimes pain and different things like that. You know, I kind of have a habit of blacking those things out by use. You know, by use. You know.
So Ryan, as a child growing up, man, do your parents, you know, do your parents have that sit down conversation with you about drugs, about, you know, don't do drugs and all that stuff?
I mean, not really, man. You know, I mean, we all hear these things in school about how drugs are bad and, you know, we shouldn't do certain things, you know, but until we had those experiences, it's just a story, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So, you know, I was one of those hard-headed motherfuckers, and I always had to learn by experience, you know, and it wasn't really much people could tell me as far as, you know, you shouldn't do that, or, you know, those type of things. You know, I always had to experience that shit myself, you know, and unfortunately, a lot of times it's been the hard way.
Okay, me and you had a conversation earlier, and you told me you've been in jail before. So I would like for you to let the family know, what were you locked up for?
I mean, I've been in jail numerous times, and you know, my rap sheet says it all. You know, I got a lot of different things on my rap sheet. You name it, gun charges, you know, possession with intent to deliver. You know, I have multiple possessions with intent to deliver, you know, from being up here in Kensington and being in the mix and selling drugs, you know, assault charges, you know, and most recently, you know, I was, you know, just retail theft, and you know, they put me on the news. I was on Action 6 News, you know, for you know, I was stealing cases of sneakers out of stores. You know, I was tearing the stores out the frame, and you know, I was doing it a little bit bigger than other people, and they really couldn't catch me. So, you know, they put me on the news, you know, and broadcasted that shit. You know, I mean, every segment. Normally, you would see something on the news at 6 o'clock, and it wouldn't be on the news at 10 o'clock. No, they broadcasted at every segment for a whole 24-hour period. You know, I started to get so many phone calls that it was just like everybody had seen the shit, and I just thought it was the most responsible thing to turn myself in, you know, because I knew that the next place that they were going to look was my family's house, and I really didn't want to involve my family in it, you know. So I felt like it was time to man up and just go ahead and turn myself in. You know?
Do you think anything good can come from having been in jail?
I mean, yeah, it made me think about the type of shit that I was doing, and I had to regress from a lot of that, what I was doing, because a lot of it was unnecessary, you know. I didn't need to be running around like I was doing and stuff, you know. There's other opportunities for people out here to make money and different stuff like that without having to be reckless, you know. And I feel like it has changed me in that way, where I have like calmed down a little bit, and you know, a little more responsible in my thinking, and you know, doing those kinds of things. You know?
Okay. So you know how it is when you were locked up, man. What was the first thing you did when you got home?
Man, I went and seen my family. You know, I went and seen my kids. You know, spent some time with my girl. You know, like ate dinner. Like, just like that was like. I didn't want to do anything. You know, they were thinking about having a party and all this shit, and all I wanted was a plate of food and some warm pussy. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we keeping it 100, right?
You know what I mean? And I was like satisfied. You know, I'm a simple man. You know, I don't ask for too much, man.
So if you could change, if you can go back in time and change things, will you?
Of course, man. You know, if I could go back in time and change things, I probably would have never, you know, I would have never chose to use cocaine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that was one of my greatest mistakes in life. You know.
So what advice would you give to addicts watching this video?
You know, I just like to give them, you know, a portion of me, and just give them some of my strength, you know, and encourage them to just, you know, even if they can't put the shit down, to just do better for themselves, you know, just do some of those things on a daily basis that you would do in your normal life, you know, and you gotta kind of hold on to that old you know, and you know, those are some of the things that I would say to them. You know, you just got to dig deep out here, and you got to find the strength within yourself to, you know, continue forward.
Absolutely. Okay, what are your short-term goals? Your short-term goals and your long-term goals.
So, you know, my short-term goals is just to keep my head above the water, you know, and I'm just focused on that. You know, I feel like that although that I'm in the midst of addiction, that addiction can't hold me back from achieving those short-term goals that I have set for myself, you know.
Okay, that's what's up. And what are some of your long-term goals?
You know, I'd like to see myself own some property in some time, you know, and that's the kind of things that I have, you know, in mind for my long-term goals, you know.
I just gotta ask you some off-topic questions. Do you have a favorite band or artist?
Well, you know, right now I'm listening to my man OT the Real. You know, he's a local guy here in Kensington. I'm starting to see that he's blowing up. You know, I want to shout him out. 215 till I die. You know, TOF. You know what I'm saying, y'all heard.
Okay. What are some of your favorite foods?
Oh man, you know, I'm not too picky when it comes to food, but you know, of course, you know, soul food has a really deep portion of my heart. You know, some of the things that I used to eat when I was a child, I still eat. You know what I mean? And a lot of people get grossed out by this when I tell them, but you know, it's pork is one of my favorite things. You know what I mean? Little pig feet. You know what I mean? But on some real shit, nah, you know, like I'm a really simple man, and I really enjoy just soul food. You know, some of the things that we ate when we were children. I'm talking about maybe, you know, some fried chicken. Everybody like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. All right, so do you have a religious or spiritual belief?
I do. I do. You know, there are some things that I believe in, and I believe that there is a God. You know, and he is one God. You know, and he's in control of all of us and everything that's going on. You know, and I believe that our lives have been written. You know, and there's alternatives to the path, but our lives, for the most part, have been written.
So where do you believe you'll go when you die?
I absolutely believe that I'm going to heaven, you know, and I know that because my Savior says so. You know what I'm saying? He said that once I accepted Him, that no one could take me from His grasp. So you know, I know for a fact that I'm going to heaven. You know.
Straight up, man. So listen, daytime or nighttime, which one are you?
All time, you know what I'm saying? 24 hour, I'm out here getting it. I'm going hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, the daytime and the nighttime is good, but right now, the daytime is hot out here.
Okay.
So nighttime.
What do you look for in a partner?
Man, you know, I just look for someone to be loyal, you know, and just be honest with me 100%, you know, and just be there for me, you know, like I don't need nothing for real, like monetarily or anything like that. I just need an open ear, you know, somebody that has a strong mental state as such as myself, you know.
So, what's your favorite season of the year, man?
Man, well, it's definitely summer, you know.
Why?
It's just a lot more to do and a lot more people around, and you know, you get to hang out and be around your peoples. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just summertime is more inviting to be as a group. You know what I'm saying?
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
I always had this thing about traveling to Dubai, you know.
Why?
If I had, you know, the opportunity to travel to Dubai, it's so much beauty over there, you know. It's just it's all man-made, you know. It was just a desert, and you know, and they just changed it into like lush gardens, and it's just crazy how opulent, you know, Dubai is, and I just like to, you know, experience that for myself.
That's what's up. We would like to know what's your zodiac sign.
Yeah, I'm a Leo, man. Yeah, you can tell by talking to me, I got the heart of a lion, you know what I'm saying?
So you had a message to send to the world, man. What would your message be?
You know, I just don't want them to think that it's all over for people like myself, you know what I mean? Like, I want them to continue on and hope and just understand that I'm different than they are, you know, and that just because I'm different don't mean that I'm not a real person, you know what I'm saying, or that I can't do the things that other people can do.
What are some things that you're in need of that we can help you with?
You know, there's a lot of different things, you know, everybody needs little stuff, you know, sneaks.
What size you wearing sneaks?
You know what I mean? I wear a size 12, you know what I mean? Like I like Nike, you know what I mean? Nike products, Nike, you know, Nike leg, shorts, shirts, jackets, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I wear.
So what size you wearing pants and what size you wearing shirts?
I wear a 36 and 36 waist, 34 length, you know. You know, I wear a extra large sweatsuit, you know, extra large t-shirt, you know. Those are the different kinds of things that would help me out a lot out here, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. That's what's up, guys. So yo, it's time to roll out. AML Films, and we out there. Peace out.
3200.